So thank you all for joining us for our first SAC meeting this school year. I'm going to quickly go over our agenda. So we'll start with welcome introductions and inclusion. We'll review our norms, and then we'll break out into two groups where one group will focus on the ISAC Student Portal and the other one will focus on work-based learning. Then we'll have an opportunity to report out on what we've learned. Then we'll talk about college and career pathway endorsements. You'll learn a bit more about those during the meeting. Then we'll talk about the assignment and have reflections and closing. And so to start, I'd like us to go around and please say your name, school, grade, and one thing you like about your school or community. And I know we have some new folks. So I'll try and call your names based on how I can see you on the chat. And for that, I will stop sharing my screen so we can see each other. So on my screen, I see Sam, Mass, Raymond, Kendall, and Ethan. So please introduce yourselves in that order.
Okay. All right. So hi, my name is Samuel Matura, and I go to Mendoza Township High School as a senior. And one thing I like about our community and high school is that we're all really friendly, and there's not really like bad people. Like you can't call anyone bad. We're all nice to each other, and you can go up to anyone and talk to them.
Hi, my name is Masalam Boyd. I am a senior at West Aurora High School this year. And one thing I like about my school is the nachos.
Nachos?
Yes, they have nachos on Monday for some reason, but they're always really good.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Kendall Sparks. I go to Vienna High School, and one thing that I really like about our school and community is that we're very much together, and we have what we call JOCO Pride, which is like our Johnson County, so it's just like our whole area. So it's like if something ever happens, we're always there for each other, and we can just like call up a neighbor, and I really love that.
And my name's Ethan Bradley. I'm a senior at Vienna High School. And one thing that I like about our school is how many choices we have for education and how many choices are around our area for education.
Hi, I'm Raymond Otis. I go to East St. Louis Senior High School. I'm a senior this year. And one thing that I love about my school is the fact that it's small enough to where everybody knows each other and everybody can go and just like get together and it'll all be a good time.
Great. Thank you all for sharing that. I'm going to try and not skip anyone. So now on my screen, I see Paige, Heaven, Patience, Chi, and Rowan.
Hi, my name is Paige Emerson. I go to Fulton High School and I'm a sophomore. One thing that I really like about my community is that even though we're really small, we still like to grow and add things as much as we can to provide a lot of opportunities.
Hi, my name is Heaven. I go to South Shore and I'm a senior. And one thing I say I like about my school and community is like you can build relationships with everybody. So I really like that.
Hi, my name is Patience Prude. I'm a senior at East St. Louis Senior High School as well. And one thing that I really like about my high school is how close-knit everybody is. Most of us have grown up in the same area, have gone through all the same school systems all our life. So just having such a big community to like rely on each other and support each other is really nice.
Hi, my name is seniors in high school, and my favorite thing about my community or school is that we have a lot of interesting courses and clubs at my.
Hi, my name is Rowan. I go to Moline Senior High School and I'm a senior. And I think my favorite thing about my school is that we don't have a mascot. We're quite literally just a color. And yet I live in like a quad city, so there's 5 surrounding high schools, we have the best school spirit despite not having a mascot. So.
Wow, that's different. I think next is Anasia and Anna.
Okay, maybe I didn't hear you say that. I'm so sorry. Hi, I'm
That's
Anais.
okay.
I go to South Shore International. I'm a senior. One thing I like about my school is that everybody is like very friendly, and you can make really strong connections, and like they can take you like far. Like you can make connections, and like they can just grow and build. You know.
Great.
Hi, everybody. My name is Anna Stevenson. I go to Evanston Township High School, and I'm a senior. Something I really like about my school is the amount of resources that are available to us. Some that people don't really know about, but that are really, really helpful. Depending on no matter what stage you are in your high school journey, there's so many things available for students, and that's what I really like.
Great. And now I'll ask, did I skip any of the SAC members? I think we heard from everyone. All right, now I'll ask Danya and Anna to introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see those of you that were here last year again, after a long time away. And for those of you that I met last week, so good to see you again and so excited for you to all meet each other. As a reminder, I'm Danya Ibrahim. I am an innovation manager at Education Systems Center, which is one of the organizations that's a part of the Success Network. And I get to do all sorts of cool innovation and education type work. And one of those big ones is work-based learning, which we'll be talking about today. And it's just exciting to get to see you all in one room and get SAC kicked off for the year.
Anna.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sana Moya, and I work with the Illinois Student Assistance Commission. I'm so excited to have 2 students from Vandalia because I travel a ton to Vandalia, and I have presented with the superintendent a couple of times. So I'm super excited. I work with the Illinois Student Assistance Commission. I am part of Fancy Words for the training team, but mostly I work to support students in all aspects of the college going process.
Wonderful. Thank you, Anna. And just want to make sure I didn't miss any student, that nobody else has joined. All right, and I'm Edith Juguna. I'm the director of the Illinois Education and Career Success Network. So I manage all aspects related to the network, whether it's working with your teachers and administrators or supporting the SAC. And this is one of my favorite things to do, is to work with the SAC. And really excited to see you all and to have new members join us. So Danya, I'll kick it off to you to break us into 2 rooms and kick us into a quick engagement activity.
Yeah, so I really want for y'all to feel like you have some semblance of community with this group. I know we're all virtual and all across the state, but we're going to start off meetings with inclusions like what we just did, and then also like a little connection breakout room so that y'all can get to know each other a little bit better. So today we're going to start off by having a like little competition, actually. I'm going to put all of you into breakout rooms of like 3 people each, and there's going to be a little competition to see in that 4 minutes how many points of connection you can find. Have one person in the room write them all down, and then we're going to come back to the main room and you'll share them. So like things that like all of you share, like all of you wear glasses, or like all of you have a brother, all of you love the color blue, but like try to do things that aren't things that every human would have, like all of us have skin or something like that, because we all have skin. But so I'm going to go ahead and start breaking us into breakout rooms. If y'all could tell me the number of like things that you found connections between, and then share what the connections were. So I'm going to call Anasia, Mass, and Paige. Whoever wants to speak from y'all's group.
Okay, so we had 8 things in common. Number 1, we were all wearing glasses. We were all wearing white, and we were all wearing red. All of our favorite foods were types of pasta. Number 5, we all had pets. Number 6, we all liked Harry Potter when we were younger, or had read Harry Potter at some point. Number 7, we all liked Michael Jackson. And number 8,
we all like English class.
Amazing. Also, I love that English is like consistently a favorite across like that was like when I was in high school, it was like the thing that like everybody loves English class. And I love that like no matter where you are in the US, no, like I went to high school in Georgia and like I love that is just I hear it so often. Shout out to the English teachers. But that's awesome. Okay, so we got 8 with room 1. Okay, room 2, we got Anna, Chi, and Raymond.
I think we got 7. We are both seniors. We live near big cities. We're into athletics. We like to listen to music. We're both in 4 clubs. We're both taking AP Stats, and we're both in Human Anatomy.
Okay, awesome, awesome. I'm imagining Anna is not in Human Anatomy. You're not in AP Stats, did you?
No, they were really good at communicating about what they had in common. They would have gotten more if I wouldn't have sidetracked them and asked Raymond if he lived near a Jack in the Box. So I am really sorry, but they would have had more, and I'm very competitive, and I'm like firm that we would have won. I'm sorry.
All good, all good. This is the joy of this is getting to know what everybody likes and finding those connections. So you're good. You didn't slow the team down, Anna. Room 3 was Anna, Heaven, and Samuel.
Okay, so we got 10 total things. We all have one older sister. We are all seniors in high school. We all enjoy pop music. We also all really like pasta, and all of our favorite colors are blue. We all like movies. Some of us like horror or action or sci-fi. We all prefer fall over winter, and we all prefer ice cream over any dessert. We also really like traveling and reading.
Very cool. I like how specific those were. Also, I love that pasta is like a room favorite. Now we're finding like cross group connections. Maybe we need to make sure that there's like pasta at the conference this year to make sure that everybody comes, Edith.
Yes.
There's always pasta at the conference, right? So maybe that's like, this is the advertisement. Everybody come get some good pasta. Awesome. And then our last room was Kendall, Ethan, Patience, and Rowan.
Okay, so we had 9. I'll also say I can't have pasta, but you know, gluten-free or something else, great.
We should make sure that there's some inclusive options.
But yeah, we had 9. We had bad vision. We all had bad vision, contacts or glasses. We all had siblings. We've all been to Missouri. We've all been to Florida. We all have a McDonald's in our town. We are all seniors. We all like to read, but only if it's like certain genres that we can't put down. We all have seen The Office, like the TV show, and Friends. So those are our 9.
Love that. These are all so fun. Thanks for entertaining the question and being a part of this. Technically room 3 won, so I got to give it to him with that 10. But honestly, hearing all of these was super fun. And I'll pick like a new question to send out into rooms and maybe keep up this like little bit of competitive nature because it seemed like it was kind of fun. But yeah, that's all from me. And I'll send it back to I think Anisha, right? To do our norms for today. So I can, Edith, if you want to pull back.
Our norms are to be on time, actively participate in our meetings, complete assignments, listen to others, be respectful, be inclusive, stay open-minded, be kind, don't be afraid to talk or speak out, don't do other tasks, and if possible, have your camera on at all times.
Wonderful. Thank you, Anasia. So as we go into our next section, I want us to make sure that we keep those norms in mind. And then for the next section of this, like I said, we're going to break out in 2 groups. And one group is going to look at the ISAC Student Portal, and the other group is going to look at work-based learning. And then we'll come back and talk about what we learned and how we can share that information with other students in our schools. So Danya, I'll let you send us into breakouts.
So how many of y'all have like heard the term work-based learning and like know what it is completely? Got you. Okay, so 1 out of 6 of y'all. Have y'all heard the following have y'all heard of like career awareness, career exploration, team-based challenges, or career development experiences at your school? So Rowan's saying yes. Have any of the rest of y'all heard of these concepts before?
Like a little bit, but like not really in depth as much.
Okay, good to know. Anasia, do
Yeah,
we have
I think I like heard the term before, but I think it was like in like brief, conversation or like a brief presentation or something like that, but not like in depth about it.
like a presentation from your school?
Yeah, maybe like it was mentioned in a presentation, or like maybe the slides were like sent to me because I might have missed the presentation, but I do remember like seeing or hearing those terms.
Okay, got you. Kind of the same for the rest of y'all?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do in this time is I'm gonna go through like a basic explanation what a few of these things are. And then I want to see if after explaining the terms, if you see like events like this at your school that basically would fall under these different definitions, but like aren't called these words. Because most of the time these are words that we use with like adults that work at your school. So like your administration probably calls it these things, but then they might call them different things when they actually share the opportunities. And I want to get a sense of like what kinds of these opportunities y'all have at your school. And then talk a little bit about like how we could maybe either find out more about whether or not these opportunities at your school, or talk about potential opportunities you would like at your school, and like see what we can think about next. So there's this thing called the work-based learning continuum, which is essentially like different types of work-based learning activities that get more intensive in your engagement in them. So like each of these things, as you go along this like range, get more involved. So they go from things like you doing like career clusters and career awareness, to doing a shadowing or like going to a job site for career exploration, to project-based learning type things for team-based challenges, to career development experiences, which are essentially internships, micro internships, apprenticeships, some of these different terms that you probably engage with more closely. So I'm just going to go quickly through what each of them mean. So career awareness, it's the first stage, and it's like helping students explore different career paths and jobs. Things that like you'll probably see, like career clusters is a really common one that schools will do. Career exploration is like when you're actually engaging with a human that works in that job, like you're engaging with something other than a computer. So like job shadowing, career expos, site visits, mentorship, anything where you're like actually engaging with somebody from the job. So like these are some more examples of like what these different activities could be. Like examples of career awareness are career interest surveys, interactive or video presentation tools. Like if your schools ever give you like a, hey, watch these videos about different manufacturing jobs, or like if you want to learn about different jobs in education outside of being a teacher, here is like videos you can go to, things like that. Or like even self-reflection activities that help you just better understand like the kinds of careers that exist and like what your own interests are. And then career exploration things are like worksite tours, job shadows, mentoring, guest speakers, career days, like anything that where you're like actually interacting with somebody from the field. And then team-based challenges are like group projects. These could be like in your classroom or not in your classroom, but they have to do with real problems that are related to careers. And like you'll be engaging with a community or business partner, you'll be interacting with a mentor, showing specific career skills, working through a problem to get to to like be able to think through a solution. Sometimes career and technical student organizations like CTSOs will have competitions that also like could technically count as team-based challenges. And then, like I said, it can take many forms. It can be a part of a CTSO, a part of a competition sometimes, embedded into a course. It's really just about like focusing on teaching student skills, and like getting to work through that with a mentor and with peers sometimes. And then the last bit of them is like these like career development experiences, youth pre-apprenticeship, apprenticeship. And those are just like supervised work experiences, like anything you would think of as a work experience, but you would get school credit or payment. You would engage in like, real workplace tasks. You would collaborate with, you know, community business partners, potentially kind of like in a typical internship idea. You would be getting regular feedback, and it's like at least 60 hours in total. And it can be split up into like different things. It could be an internship, it could be a part of a course sometimes, depending on how your school sets it up, or a part of an apprenticeship if your school has apprenticeships. And so I know I'm throwing a lot of just like definitions at y'all, but I want to get a sense of like, now that I've shared these definitions, before we even go through the next like set of questions, do some of the things that I've mentioned, like job shadows and work visits and mentorship and internships, like, do some of these sound more familiar to what is offered at your school now? Or is it still like, oh, my school is not really offering these? Is it just like you're seeing a few more of these things represented in what you know exists at your school?
Yeah, my school actually offers a lot of like job fairs and like a lot of career resources. I think there's like school counselors that definitely like send out a lot of information. If you fill out a Google form, they sometimes like pull you out of class to like meet with you to talk about the like job opportunities that my school.
Oh, awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, it's more familiar after you like explained it thoroughly. Like especially with the CTSO part. Yeah, like basically what I do. Like I didn't realize that I was kind of like helping our advisor of our group do that because I'm his president of our chapter. So like yeah, once he said that, I was like, wow, how did you not know that was your job? But yeah,
No, it's okay because like these terms are like so specific, like we use them. It's so interesting because we'll be like, students, are y'all engaging in these things? And then they're like, what in the world even is that thing? And then y'all actually are doing it. So sometimes it's just a different term.
Yeah.
We do a lot of that too. I would say we're pretty good in almost every section except for the team-based challenges. We don't do a lot of that at our school, but we do check every other box for that.
Awesome. So I want to like kind of get y'all's thoughts in like a kind of more formalized format. Like I have these questions and I have this Padlet that I want us to engage in. Can y'all see my Padlet? Do y'all see this like, okay, cool. So it switched to what I was sharing. And I'm gonna send y'all this link in the chat. Oop. I'm gonna send y'all this link in the chat and I'd love for you to hop on here with me. I don't think you need an account to sign in, but let me know if you'd have to click an account to be able to see this. Are you able to see it on your end?
We're good. We can see it.
Fantastic. Thank you. I want to get an idea of like, I want to like be able to capture some of y'all's thoughts about these different questions. Like, I want to know where there are opportunities that you think align with one of these definitions. So if you're like, oh, my school actually offers internships, then I recognize that that's like a CDE. Or like, oh, my CTSO actually offers a bunch of competitions. They might count as team-based challenges. Those are the kinds of things I want to know through this question. And then I would love to just like, these ones are just like things to like think through, and I would love your thoughts on. Like, what are examples of work-based learning activities you wish you had at your school? What barriers are preventing you or your peers from engaging in work-based learning activities? What could you do to better engage students in work-based learning activities? Like if you're like, oh, like the barriers that I just don't even know that they exist, the what could you do better is like our school could share them in the classroom or something like that. And then who would you talk to at your school to learn more about work-based learning opportunities? So I want to just give us like real quick, like maybe 4 or 5 minutes to kind of start adding answers here. I would love all of your thoughts to as many of them as you can answer. And then in 5 minutes, we'll chat about them out loud, but I just want to give you a second to kind of think through them as well. I'm seeing here that like lack of information is a really big challenge across the board, that like even here, like not fully aware of the opportunities, lack of knowledge, school doesn't really tell students. We offer, but students don't know. There's a disconnection between students and staff. My school offers a lot of resources, but a lack of knowledge on these resources is a barrier. Seeing here that we've got job opportunities and internships are talked about. Speakers offer internships and use Zello a lot. That's cool that they use Zello. It's always good to have like a source of information that's all organized on. School doesn't speak much about it. I see here that you said, I wish we could bring back CTSOs. Did they take away CTSOs at your school?
We had FFA and then they dropped it and then we just never came back. There's been a strong want these last 5 years about bringing DECA back, bringing DECA in our school because our school across the river has DECA, and I think BMLA or something like that. But yeah, we just don't have any.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. That's rough that they took it out and then didn't come back. I hope that they're able to figure out a way to bring it back. And I see here, what could your school do better? You could do better in team-based competitions. Since you don't have CTSOs, it might be able to like be facilitated through those. Better informing, more fairs, come to the classroom more. Try making it as relatable to the audience as possible. Yeah, absolutely. On these notes, like, this is like the reason I brought up lack of information about opportunities is because like it's one that I hear honestly across the state as I'm talking to folks. Like they just realize that like the information exists. Sometimes there's a lot of opportunities. It's just not getting out there. A big suggestion that typically comes through is, and like this is kind of mentioned in some of y'all's comments as well, is that like a lot of it's about buy-in from the teachers, making sure the teachers are aware. Because like y'all see teachers a lot, but you're probably not seeing your admin as often. Like some of you might see your admin a lot. I remember that was a conversation last year about like how some of you get to see your administrators really often, and some of you might not. But like all of you are seeing your teachers daily, and that's like a really good way to get information out there. And so like getting things in the classrooms is a really good suggestion. And you know, that's something that like it'd be interesting to think more through how, I don't know, from my end too, I always think about like how can we make things easier for teachers to get out there in the classroom. Like is it like putting flyers up on the wall, or do you think like sometimes starting class with like a, hey, this is what's going on at the school kind of chat? Like what typically reaches y'all?
For me, our teachers are super finicky about wasting class time with announcements and stuff. So personally, I'm a big fan that 3 minutes a day does a lot more than you believe. So having like a 3-minute conversation about a career path is something I've been pushing in my school, because I think that that forces students to listen and they are still getting something every day.
Do y'all feel the same about like how y'all's classrooms are set? Like, does it seem like it's just mostly teachers being stressed about wasting class time? Yeah, I'm a big fan of like, honestly, like, yeah, just a one quick little spiel, even once a week, just to share like, these are the opportunities coming up in the next couple weeks, or even if it has to be just once a month, even like just that little bit of time, putting it in there when you can means a lot more than not hearing about it at all. So I agree fully. And then I'm finishing reading these up here, you know, not having the communication, don't hear about it much. Better communication. Lots of students want things to occupy their time after school. Absolutely. And then y'all mentioned here, like there was this last question about like who would you talk to at your school to learn more about work-based learning opportunities? And that's helpful to know. It'll be helpful as I head into like what the homework assignment for this meeting is, which is what I'll get to in a moment. But you all are mentioning your school counselors, people don't realize they can ask their counselor these types of questions. We used to have a career coordinator, lost that position. Oh no, that's rough. Career coordinators are the best. Like having somebody in that position helps so much. At my school, we have communications team, so I could talk to them, and I would talk to my counselor to learn more about it. Usually certain topics only arise if she thinks they could be useful. So work-based learning has been one of those things that crossed. Okay, awesome. Well, I really appreciate all these comments. I'll make sure to send them this like Padlet out to y'all after this meeting, because I think it'll actually be helpful as we chat about the assignment and as y'all prepare to work on that. So as y'all remember, after each of the meetings, there's typically an assignment. Last year when you do your first meeting, you had an assignment about the ISAC portal. And so that's the assignment that the other group is going to be doing. The assignment I want you all to do has to do with this conversation. I would like for you to like see if there's a way to find out more about what the work-based learning opportunities are at your school. Like now that you know what work-based learning opportunities are, see if there's like a way that you can find out where they exist, where you would find out about them. And once you find out that information, see if there's like maybe a creative way that you could share it with your peers, whether it's like making a little flyer or just like sharing that you like writing up something about how you shared it by word of mouth with friends, whatever is like the best form of communication for you. And then we were just talking about barriers. So we're having here, identify a barrier students at your school face when trying to engage in work-based learning activities. It seems like across the board, it's communication. And then engage in a conversation with a teacher or administrator or whoever it is that you would go to talk to. Like I saw that most of y'all put like career coordinator or like counselor about this barrier. And then what you have to end up sharing with me is like share the creative way that you shared about work-based learning opportunities. So whether or not that's like forwarding me the flyer or saying like, I texted 10 friends and like, here's a screenshot or something, like just anything that shows that you communicated with your peers about the opportunities. And then to write a paragraph about the experience. Oops, I realize that this is not clear, about the experience speaking to admin/teacher/counselor, whoever it is that you identified would be like the person to go to at your school. And essentially, like, we really want to be mindful about like, y'all are a advisory group. And like something that we talked about at that last meeting at the end of last year was how can you make change at your schools and like how important your voice is and how approaching those conversations are. So following up on that last meeting from last year, we want this year for us to like build that into practice even more. And in the past, you all have done assignments where you're talking to other peers. And this year we want to make sure that we're like building this muscle of y'all being an advisory to like for your peers and advocating to the adults at your school that could help make this change. So if you identified that like your counselor is the person to talk to about this, and you identify that there's like work-based learning opportunities at your school, sharing with them you like by email or stopping by if they have office hours or like setting up a meeting with them, whatever it is that is the way that you communicate with your counselor or whoever you decide to talk to about this at your school, and talking to them about like, we identified this as a barrier. I'm a part of the like student advisory council. We identified this as a pretty consistent barrier for work-based learning. And there's all these opportunities at this school. Like, I wonder if there's ways that we can make students more aware of this opportunity, and then just like share about that experience by writing a paragraph and then sending both of those things to me in like 3 weeks or so. So that is the assignment for this week. Do y'all have any questions?
I just have a quick question. Are you going to do it how you did last year when you sent us an email after the meeting with everything typed up? Okay, I'm just making sure.
Yeah. And I'll send this slideshow as well, so that if y'all want to go back to, I don't know why it's not letting me exit. Oh, there we go. If y'all want to go back to these definitions and stuff too, and engage with like what these different things are, it'll all still be in there for you to see as well.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited to see how these conversations go. I'm interested in hearing what comes of them.
I'm excited too. I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm actually really excited because we have like 5-6 different counselors. They all do different stuff at my school. So I think I might talk to just like one, and then because Heaven goes to my school, I might have her talk to. I don't know. We're working out, but I'm excited.
Y'all can tag team. If y'all want to go in on a meeting together too, like if that feels more comfortable for you, you're welcome to go together. Yeah, it's always good to like, and it's one of those things where like, even if things don't get changed right away, like change typically takes time to happen, but like it is always nice to like remind your school that this is important to you, that this is important to students, and then that helps them over time prioritize that when they're thinking about ways to improve. So I just want to emphasize again that y'all's voice really does matter to the people at your school. Like, they want to hear from y'all, and they'll be if you needed to hear it again, in case you needed to hear it again, like it's important for your admin, your teachers. They want to hear from y'all's experiences and how to improve. And they're happy to have you be a part of it. And that's why they're a part of leadership communities. That's why we have an advisory council, to make sure that like we're continuing to emphasize the importance of y'all's voices and experiences. Cool. I think we finished earlier than the other group because it seems like they're going to be in that breakout room for a little while, but I can go ahead and unshare. If y'all had like a dream, if you all could like pick one event that you wish you had at your school that falls in line with like any of these types of career awareness, exploration, team-based challenge, et cetera events, what would be the one that you would want the most? Like what would be most useful to you or most interesting?
I'd say like a career day. When I used to live in Belize, our school would have like a culture day, a career day, and like they'd assign each like class a career, like in general, like just a like medicine or all of that, and then you go in depth with it. And each class would come to you and you'd have your presentation for a while and you'd share how to get there, how like what do you need to take, and I thought that was like very cool when I was younger because it was interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't really feel like my high school here does that as much. Like we have presentations about certain careers, but it's never like a very long, like hour and a half long, like presentation in depth.
I was just gonna say like less cost on the competitions. Like we go to HOSA and we go to HOSA State and everything costs, you know. I think a lot of people would want to participate more if it was free or like if it was maybe you could, you know, less of an amount. Like some of the amounts be a little bit too high. And like some of us are freshmen, sophomore, junior, you know, like we don't make a lot of money. So either free or less cost or yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good consideration. Go ahead, sorry.
Adding on that thought, I know from when we used to have FFA in the 2010s, that was one of the reasons we dropped it, because it was supposed to get over to a new advisor, but that's one of the reasons we dropped it. And sometimes that actually made me wonder if maybe our staff doesn't want to necessarily get invested in DECA because of how much it costs.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing I haven't really looked into in particular, like how much it costs for schools to be able to run those CTSOs. So let's spend a little time. I know that we're a little over time already, but if one person from each room could just share maybe like what they thought was a highlight from that room. So if we want to start with the work-based learning room, if one of y'all would like to just share like a little bit about what we went over and what you think a highlight was. Go ahead, Anasia.
Yeah, so we went over work-based learning opportunities and like activities, which basically involve like learning about different careers and hearing from people that do different careers, like hearing specifically from that person or doing competitions. Like I know at my school we have HOSA, so when we do state conference, that's considered a work-based learning activity. And the highlight of that was that I'm basically like the communications person for my HOSA chapter. Like it's basically my job to tell them about work-based learning opportunities that arise like through our medical program. So I thought it was funny. I didn't know my job until she explained it more. So yeah.
Awesome. And if one person from the ISAC Student Portal room would like to share a little bit about what y'all did and a quick highlight.
Okay, so basically we went over the ISAC Student Portal, which was really interesting. I hadn't heard of it before, and I guess that's kind of snitching on myself because I heard there was homework that I did not know we had to do. But it was really interesting, and it had a bunch of tools like for first generation students. There was the Claim Your Future, and there was also from high school to college tool. And I think it was really interesting that we all had similar but different ideas on how to present these tools to students. And then Ida talked about how we're gonna have like an assignment and how it's kind of leading up to what we've been doing right now.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thanks y'all for sharing. I know that, you know, I would love for more of y'all to get to hear about the other things that those in the other room learned, but we'll have time to chat more about work-based learning opportunities for those who missed that conversation moving forwards in the coming months. Hopefully we'll get to keep sharing tidbits. But I want to go ahead and share my screen again, and then I'll be passing off to Mass to speak to the group for a little bit. We're actually going to be sharing about something that something Anasia shared about the work-based learning room is that there are a lot of opportunities for engagement in college and career paths that are things that your school engages in and puts on, but might not be things that have not heard the terms for. Like for example, we talked about the term career exploration, which might not be a term you've heard before, but you've probably heard of things like job sites and career fairs, which are career exploration activities. In the same vein, there's something called the College and Career Pathway Endorsement Framework, which essentially is a framework that sets up very meaningful experiences for students to get exposure to a career pathway and intentional engagement with essential and technical skills through these built out different activities that you might have heard at your school, but probably not seen formatted in this exact way. So I'm going to share a little bit about what this means, and then I'm going to pass along to Mass to talk a little bit about some of the work that he's been doing with Ed Systems and what this could mean for you and your futures, and how this relates to like your future opportunities as well. So the college and career pathway endorsement has a few different components of it. Like you'll see here, there's this individual plan, which some of y'all might have engaged with in some way at your school, which is essentially having like a plan that includes, how your classes tie to your future goals, things like thinking through how your experiences at school tie to your resume. Some of the types of meetings that you might be having with your counselors might look similar to some of the things that are part of this like formalized individual plan. There's this other aspect of the CCPE. We also call it CCPE for short because College and Career Pathway Endorsement Framework is just a lot to say every single time. But there's another aspect of it called professional learning, which is sometimes you'll be hearing it called work-based learning. This is like the aspect of work that I really engage in, where there's these different requirements to get this endorsement. There's these different requirements, like engaging in 2 career exploration activities, engaging in 60 cumulative hours of a paid or credit supervised career development experience, which essentially could look like a micro internship or an internship or an apprenticeship. And then at least 2 team-based challenges, which team-based challenges essentially are project-based learning activities that you engage in with mentors to like work through real-world problems in a career pathway of choice. And then this all gets tied into a career-focused instructional sequence where like you're engaging in coursework that ties to a career pathway that has that ties to like maybe post-secondary credits or value like in the real world, like labor market value, essentially like value for gaining skills for the real world, and must at least 6 hours of early college credit. And then this other part is like academic readiness, just essentially like be a good student and engage in all like the requirements of being a high school student in general. And so these are all different experiences that you've probably like heard of or engaged with separately. Like you probably engage in courses that tie to like real world skills. You probably are a great high school student that like engages in academic readiness. You maybe have engaged in like a career exploration event by going to a job visit or going to a career fair at your school. And you might have talked to your counselor about like an individualized plan. But when these things are all put together in like a very formalized way that gets sent to like that gets approved by the state, you get what's called a college and career pathway endorsement, which essentially says that you have like engaged in a structured version of all of these different experiences, and that you like are very college, that you've like taken that step to be very college and career ready, by engaging in all these different components. And again, then you get like a stamp on your diploma from your high school that is approved by the state. And what that could mean could be like tons of different things. And that's what Mass is going to share about, like what could it mean to have that endorsement? Why could that be meaningful? But I just wanted to share a little bit about this framework. Again, these are likely things that either they might, I don't know if y'all, have any of y'all heard of this pathway endorsement framework? I guess I should have asked before I started talking about it, but do you like physically raise your hand if you have? I think I saw Paige raise her. Yeah. Yeah. So at some of your schools, they might talk about it in this language. Edith, I saw you unmute.
Yeah, I saw that Kendall and Ethan also had their hands raised. Anybody else who's heard about this? Caitlin, Soto? Anybody
If you
else?
haven't, oh, sorry. Yeah. If you haven't heard of this, have you heard of like maybe aspects of this? Like have one of y'all, have y'all even heard about like at least like work-based learning, or like have you heard about like individualized plans? Like have you heard at least like one of these components? Okay, cool. A lot more nods. So essentially, like I said, like probably components you've heard of, when brought all together could be a cool endorsement. And what that could mean, to like explain what that could mean, I'm going to pass along to our very own Mass to talk a little bit about CCPE. And these were questions that I was going to ask with the slide that I ended up just asking aloud. But something that y'all will like something that we're interested in doing. Y'all heard at our orientation session for the students that were at our orientation session last week, that we're gonna have a like conference in February. For those of you that were here last year, you were either already at that conference or like this is the information about it if you're hearing about this year's anew. This year, it's going to be on Tuesday, the 25th of February in Champaign, Illinois. And essentially, we want to like engage y'all in sessions about this endorsement that we just talked about. So I wanted to get a sense of like who's participating in CCPE right now. Kendall, Ethan, and Paige, I saw you raise your hand that you know what it is, but are any of y'all like engaging in the CCPE right now?
I think we might be a little bit. I think it's being touched on in a small manner.
Okay.
I currently am not, but we're having a meeting about it on September 30th to like dive deeper into like the specific pathways that we offer. So I think I'll know more about like what our school's doing for that after that meeting.
Okay, awesome. The reason I tie the Success Network conference in with this, sorry, my transition into that was a little choppy, but the reason I tie this together is because we actually like at the conference, kind of want to have two things about the CCPE. One, we want to have a student only session, kind of like last year we had a student only session. This year we want to have a student only session again, where we're discussing the CCPE, and like the stuff that Mass is going to talk about in just a moment. And then the other aspect of this is I shared at the orientation that last year we did a whole presentation at the lunch session to the whole crowd of folks that were there, that had the student like y'all as a part of the presentation. And this year we would love to have you to be a part of the presentation again. And the idea that we have for the presentation this year is, after we engage in more conversations about CCPE and get you all more comfortable about the concept and what it is, we would love to find, we're going to find like people that have graduated with this endorsement, and for y'all to ask them questions on stage, like for y'all to be the interviewers and get to essentially like learn more about it on stage in front of people from all around the state, so that all of us can learn more about the CCPE together. And like y'all would get to curate those questions based on what would be important for you to know, and what you think it's important for administrators and people around the state to know. So a quick show of hands again, sorry, before I pass along to Mass, who would be potentially interested in interviewing CCPE alumni on stage at the conference? And if you could like, not just physically raise your hand, but if you could like Zoom raise your hand so that your faces all come to the top of the screen.
Sorry, I can't figure out how to actually raise my hand on the screen.
No, you're good. Let me just keep your hands up. I'm going to make sure I get everybody's things down. Alrighty. And again, this is not you like, you're not committed to it yet. We'll chat more about it. We'll have like an official sign up later. First, would love for y'all to like talk to your families. We'll share a little bit more information about this because it's going to be, like I said, in Champaign, Illinois. So like we'd love for you to talk to your families about it. We'll send out all this information via email as well. But we want to make sure that y'all are actually able to be there, and that your families would feel comfortable with it. And then we'll do coordination about figuring out what questions we're going to ask, getting like final sign up. So I'll have y'all send in your final answers with your homework assignments that you're sending in on the 18th of October. Awesome. Thank y'all so much. I'll go ahead and now finally pass along to our incredible Mass to talk about what the CCPE could mean and CCPE currency.
Okay. Well, thank you, Danya, for explaining the college and career pathway endorsement, because I started working with it a few months ago, so it's still kind of new to me as well. The way that I kind of conceptualize it, and this could help people that haven't heard of it before. I'm hoping that this lands because I'm critically online, like chronically all the time. So like, the elite employee, like you're not an elite employee. That's what this is. It's basically signaling to like colleges and other workplaces that you're an elite employee and that you've done the necessary work to be regarded with more of a like higher status, like, oh, you're like that, you're really cool, you're smart, you're educated, and you're dedicated to your future. So that's basically what it is. And little blurb that I wrote here was that CCP stands for College and Career Pathway Endorsement, and that's what we just heard about. It's a recognition, a signal to colleges and other, just what I just said. But if we can go through the transition, there is currency / incentives that go along with the career and college pathway endorsement. So it's an incentive for students to continue on with their rigorous coursework, because I don't know if you looked at the framework very deeply, but you have to do 60 hours of credits. You have to do 6 hours of internships. There's a whole lot that you have to do that students really go out of their way to attain. So it's really incentives are needed, is what I'm saying. And those can range from things like scholarships and tuition waivers to jobs placements and additional resources, varying based upon the institution that's providing it. So a college could give you like an extra like lounge, like an honors kind of lounge. A job could give you more like resources and tools, things like that, depending on your pathway and stuff like that. So moving on to the next slide, the importance of the student voice. I'm going to give you a little bit of context on why I'm here. Last year at the Success Network conference, I presented at that big stage, which Danya was talking about. It was pretty scary. And we were talking about the Illinois State Board of Education survey that was put out a few years ago. We went through and really dissected that data and evaluated it on quantitative and qualitative aspects. And through that survey, I was able to get a chance to speak and just share my mind on what I thought and how it related to CTSOs and CTE courses. Because I'm the state president of HOSA right now, it meant a lot to me because seeing how CTSOs have affected me and how they've influenced my growth, I wanted to be able to like share that with other people as well. So through that, I was able to go to the Illinois Success Network conference and speak. And then I met with Danya and Edith, these two wonderful ladies that helped me through this process. And I've now been working with a lady. Her name is Megan Mitchell. I don't have a picture of her, but she's very nice. She's very friendly. If you ever see her in person, she's very cool. And
I'll just add.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Danya.
I was just saying we should have put a picture of Megan on here, but go ahead, Edith.
Yeah, no, and I'll just add that Sam and Rowan were also co-presenters with Mass and a few other students who have graduated. So it's a voluntary thing. Whoever wants to be part of that, you can be part of it.
Mm-hmm. For those that were at the orientation last week, those who I was saying like the cool people that were there last time, like the cool people that I hope were here this time, that's them. But yeah, so working with Miss Mitchell has been a really cool experience because we get to analyze current and already existing currencies for students. So that's what I do. I've looked through, I have a whole notebook full of just existing currencies. So I've seen a lot of like resources from colleges like, oh, we're going to give you like a tuition waiver or a course waiver. And then for other workplaces like job placements and things like that, just really getting students the best opportunities possible. I see it as being Robin Hood, you know, taking from the rich and giving to the poor. But in this case, it's just the students. So yes. Now you might be thinking, what does this have to do with us? Like, you know, we're going to college, but like, what are we doing here? We're just like Illinois Student Advisory Council, you know? And as an advisory council, we give our thoughts and ideas, which give us the opportunity to inform major decisions that affect us and our peers and be the change that we want to see in the world. So that's really what we get to do at the Illinois Success Network Conference. We're informing major decisions. So whether people decide to continue on with CCPE or not, I mean, most likely they are because it's really good for students. But let's say in a hypothetical situation, it was teetering, right? We get to influence that decision by sharing our thoughts and information. And we also get to be the change that we want to see by basically representing ourselves and our peers in a good light that would really influence older people. And no disrespect to the older people, but like the older people like really like take us seriously, you know, and to put weight behind our words per se. So to be as an advisory council would and to give advice and to give our thoughts, I have 2 survey questions from the survey that was my dog. I have 2 survey questions from the survey that I created that we're gonna go through, and there are Zoom polls. So because you'll see why in a little bit, but there are Zoom polls, and feel free to ask any clarifying questions because when you ask questions, it helps me to be better. It helps me to stay on track and on topic. But yeah, here are the 2 questions right here. I'll read them out. How valuable are scholarships and other forms of financial aid on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being not important to 5 being very important? Also, I would like to hear your thoughts, you know, rather than just seeing numbers. You know, I'd like to hear your informed decisions, your thought process. So we'll share out after that. And then, secondly, how valuable is job placement, work experiences, or internship opportunities within a program of study pertaining to your field of study? On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being not important to 5 being very important. So go ahead and put in the buttons, submit your things, and we will see. I actually can't see those polls, but
You'll be able to see it as soon as and as we hit end and share survey. So like share results,
Okay.
so you'll be able to see all of them.
Okay, cool. So let's just wait. I feel like in this kind of situation, it's always best to play a little Jeopardy music, but we don't have that right now. So
Actually,
just
everybody
imagine.
answered already. If you can also do a do though, if you want to go dun, 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 you're welcome to sing it for us.
Okay, so we have our polls here, and it seems like 100% of us answered very important to scholarships and financial aid. And we have a majority 5s, and then I'm assuming 1 4 based on the percentages, but it could be more or less. But yes, would anybody like to share their answer on why they chose number 1? Since that's the easy one, everybody agrees with you. Nobody's gonna come to you with a pitchfork and fire, being like, no, you're wrong. Would anybody like to share first? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I put 5 just because like I know that I know that college costs a lot and like you can get in debt and debt can be on your credit and you can go to collections, a lot of stuff with debt. Like I learned a lot of stuff about money stuff over the summer. So I know like making sure that you handle college right and like it doesn't follow you after college is important. So I want to
Yeah.
make sure I paid the less amount of college and the less amount for my for the higher education schooling and stuff like that. So yeah.
Thank you. And then I saw we had Kendall and Ethan. Yes.
So are we just talking about the first one
The
right
first
now?
one. No, we're
Okay.
gonna get to the second one.
Okay. So for me, I said a 5. Well, we obviously both said 5, but I said 5 because for most of the colleges that I'm looking at, I am applying to them, and I'm like, I'll only go here if I get the scholarship that will help me to do it, because it's like it's expensive, and like she said, I don't want to have an insane amount of debt. And also my mom is a teacher, so there's not much money that comes in there. And my dad is a police officer, so that also isn't a lot of money. So scholarships are like a huge impact for me and my family, and being able to have that support to keep us out of debt in that manner.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like that's a big one. Go ahead.
and I believe that money is also very important because I mean, my dad, he worked at a local college. It's called Shawnee Community College. So that means I get the next 2 years free since he has retired. And pretty much every other college that I've applied for, it's just trying to stack up against Shawnee because it's free. And I wanted to go into nursing, and nursing is a very expensive program and very time consuming. So I've like if I'm getting like really good scholarships or even like presidential scholarships where it's all paid for, then I will likely go to another college. But I mean, well, yes, it would be nice to get some smaller scholarships. I just don't see it adding up to the free college for Shawnee.
Yeah, yeah, man. Nursing, you're gonna be in there for a while, so you got to get it where the getting's good. So I completely understand that. Okay, and then to keep it briefer,
Yeah, let's Mas, maybe we should hear from Sam and Anna.
Yes.
For just they can respond to any of the questions, and then in the interest of time, we want to make sure we get you out at 5:30.
Yes.
We'll wrap up. So
Ooh.
Sam, we haven't heard from you, but
yes.
Yeah, I mostly said a 5 because of like my parents. They are like very curious people, and they want more all the time, but they didn't have to get themselves more. So like for example, my mom, she wanted to be a lawyer, but because of her poor background, that just wasn't possible. So I think that they're very important because oftentimes the people with less want to experience more and have more, and getting financial aid and scholarships would really help them achieve their goals.
Yeah. I feel that too. You always want the best for your kids and stuff like that. Okay. And then Anna, please share out.
Yeah, I said 5 for both of them. And I know like a lot of people are sharing, like in my family, my parents both work in education, and we already have one of my siblings is already in college. So me going to college is already a lot, and it's a huge burden on my family, which is why I believe scholarships are important. And having access to resources to get financial aid is also really important, which is what we talked about in our breakout. And then I also said work experience. I said a 5 because I work at a nonprofit with youth, and that helped me realize what I want to do in the future. So I believe that, again, people having access to those things and guidance as to where to go for that, I think is really important.
I agree. Okay. Now, I would like to ask just one question before we get in, because I know we have homework that needs to be assigned. But in the situation in which a college would provide you with, like, let's say $3,000, when let's say the tuition of a community college is 5,000 average, right? Let's say that college is like local in your area, it's providing you with $3,000 of tuition waiver like each year. But they also include a what do you call it? Another resource incentive, like a job placement on campus within your program of study. Let's say for Ethan, let's say they put you in a guaranteed nursing program. Would that dissuade you from not dissuade you? Would that influence your decision? Would it make you like look twice in terms of where you would want to attend?
It most certainly would. We actually have a college around here that does that. It's West Kentucky Technical College. Yes, West Kentucky Technical College. There's a lot of words in it, but when they apply their nursing students and when they get into the nursing program, they do offer them a job at a local hospital actually, and as to whether or not they have like the $3,000. It certainly, if you get scholarships, then yes, but I would most certainly look at it again. Yes.
Okay. So in comparison to your situation with Shawnee, where it's all free, would that kind of influence you like, hey, maybe I'll go to Kentucky? Would that make you think that a little bit?
Well, they are both very close, so distance wouldn't be so much of an issue. And it really would just depend on the smaller details like scheduling and just living expenses and all that, because Shawnee is approximately 5 minutes from my house. So it's kind of hard to beat that too.
Sure. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. And thank you all for sharing and participating in this survey, these little questions. If you're interested, I have like the full thing in Google Form mode, so I can send that out if you're interested. But yeah, I'm gonna hand it back over to Edith to give us homework.
Danya, I don't know if you had anything to add there.
No, I was taking in a lot of y'all's responses. I want to be mindful of time because I wanted to respond to a lot of them, but I just wanted to say that I appreciated all of y'all's thoughtfulness, and that like really does help us to have context about the kinds of school experiences you have. And as Mass mentioned, and also kind of as I mentioned in my breakout room, and like as the homework is going to encourage you to do, if you can find the people at your schools that need to hear this information, and you can open a conversation with them, even if you like, you don't have to have the solution. You are welcome to share like that you have this thought about like what it would that would help students at your school, if it would be helpful for them to know about these opportunities, whatever it is. Like if you can find the people at your school that you can talk to about these things, like you should feel empowered to open those conversations. The worst thing you can get is a no, or that we can't do this right now, or that it'll take longer, things like that. But it's always good to remind to like remember that your student voice really matters, and that like all of these comments are important for us to hear in our positions, but also important for your administrators, teachers, counselors to know what's important to you too. So with that, I'll have Edith share the homework, because this kind of has to do with the idea of being an advisory and sharing your voice.
Great. So I think a group where we were reviewing the ISAC Student Portal, we talked a little bit about what the assignment is. The idea is for you to take the information that you learned and think of a way that you can share it with other students. So whether it's the PACE framework or the tool on the cost of college, think about how you can take that. And some students had ideas that they talked about in our group, whether it's in your advising class or in one of the clubs that you belong to. And we really encourage you to also engage your teachers and counselors and adults in your schools in it, so that they are also learning what you're learning and can help spread the information. And we will, and the same thing for the work-based learning. Danya, I don't know if you want to say anything about, or did you guys discuss that?
Yeah, we chatted about it, but just like following up on what Edith said, it's pretty much the same assignment, but with your work-based learning opportunities, I'll make sure to send out the exact wording that we talked about, both through the slides and the email, but kind of similar about figuring out how to share about those opportunities, and then having a conversation with one of the counselors, administrators, teachers at your school, and sharing a little bit about that is our part of it. So you'll all see all of that in the email.
Yes, we will send a detailed email. We will send the recording in case you need to remember what we talked about. And homework is due on October 18th, which is 3 weeks, gives you about 3 weeks. And we encourage you to be creative. You can make a poster, you can make a TikTok video. We'll also send you what students in the previous year have done to give you some ideas. But before we close, we'd like you to fill out an exit slip to just tell us how you thought the meeting went. So Danya is going to drop that in the chat, and please don't leave before completing it.
I have a question. So for the homework, where would we share this with you? Like whatever we do? We'll
send you all the information on how to share that with us.
Okay.
Usually we ask people to just email it to us by the deadline. But if you all can see the link that Danya has dropped in the chat, it's just very few questions. We ask that you not leave the meeting before you complete it. For returning students, I know that you've done this before, but for the new students, really want to make sure that we hear from you what you got out of this meeting, what we can do better. And once you've completed it, then you can drop off the call. Thank you again for joining us. We hope you have a great weekend. We will send your stipends in the form of a gift card next week, and it will be sent to the email that you've provided to us. So whatever email we've been using to communicate to you, it may take a few days to get to you, but you should have it in your inboxes by Friday. And just want to thank you so much for your engagement and your thoughtfulness on a Friday. I know after a long week, this was a lot of information, but really appreciate hearing from you and hearing your experiences.